everybody, and welcome to another in our series of interviews with business owners of businesses in Southwest and predominantly Somerset. Today, we're very fortunate to have Durgan Cooper, owner and MD of Cetsat, with us. Good morning, Durgan. How are you this fine morning?
Duncan, very well, thank you very much. Thanks for having me today.
It's an absolute pleasure, and thank you very much for taking the time to come and speak to us and speak to Somerset. I think let's get right down to it. Cetsat, what is it? What do you guys do?
Thank you. Well, Cetsat, we are a technology company predominantly based in the Southwest, and we supply a mixture of IT managed services and systems integration projects, bespoke software development and cybersecurity solutions.
My goodness gracious me, that sounds, I think, I would have said initially complicated, and I think 10 years ago, it'd be wow. But now, and especially with what's happening, it's incredible. So you must be incredibly busy, especially going into this virtual world of ours.
Well, certainly the kickoff at the end of March, as I'm sure many people experienced, there was a huge requirement for technology delivery at home. So we got near about 3,000 of our client staff working remotely. So no mean feat. It was a pretty manic period, a bit of a roller coaster, but yeah, things certainly started to calm down sort of mid to end of April. So, but it was a very busy period for us all. Obviously having to set ourselves up, similarly working from home too during the same time. So yeah, nothing I wish to repeat too often.
I can imagine, and I think I speak for everybody is thank you to guys like you that gave us as businesses around the country, and specifically in Somerset, the ability to be able to do that and so flawlessly. So massive thank you for our side. I wanted to ask you, how long have you actually been in doing this? I mean, how long has Cetsat existed?
Yeah, Cetsat's in its 20th year.
Wow.
So as with any business, we've had ebbs and flows, the ups and downs of life and running a business. But pleased to say, we have a very sort of steady ship at the moment. I won't suggest, obviously, that the last few months have been easy. A lot of projects have been placed on hold, and subsequently we've been sort of reorganising ourselves, reviewing budgets, and all of those things. But thankfully, what are we? We're 1st of July, and things are starting to open up again.
And that's brilliant. So 20 years is a long time at this. And I think we've alluded to it during the COVID crisis and what has gone on. What would you say are the biggest changes that you've had to make? And first of all, possibly, how did COVID affect you, and what sort of changes did you have to make accordingly?
I mean, I think it was majoritively about the staff, of course. We've got a very a brilliant, committed team, and working from home is obviously not natural for any of us. And certainly, I have myself been escaping into the office quite regularly for my dose of internet connectivity. Living in rural Somerset, I suffer like many. Yeah. I think the main thing has just been making sure that our colleagues have been looked after. We've been sending regular little packages out to everyone to keep everyone fit and healthy. Yeah, it's been difficult. It has been difficult for sure. And we're now obviously planning for the return to the office and what that might look like. So it's just managing cash flow has obviously been very difficult. And thank you to all of our customers who have been very prompt. So they've kept us going, and subsequently in our supply chain, we've managed to keep our suppliers happy at the same time. So industry is working, which is wonderful.
And I think that's absolutely spot on. I think one of the things you said there, which we've been encouraging businesses to do, is to communicate, and communicate not just with our staff, but communicate with our supply chain, communicate with our customer base and everything, because it is a strange world, and and we can sometimes feel even more lonely than we did in the past. What would you say? I'm guessing from what you've said to me about the services you provide. What is your target audience? What is your client base look like? What is your ideal client, or does
Yeah.
it vary?
Well, we have an extremely varied client base, from nuclear power stations and banks down to professional service organisations and manufacturers and every type of organisation. So I think the thing that binds them all is their understanding of value. Obviously, a lot about providing services is about the relationship that one has with their clients and their supplier. And we're not always the right fit. You know, that's something I've learned a lot over the last 20 years, is that you can't please all of the people all of the time. But certainly, yeah, it's a very broad, diverse client base, and that actually is quite exciting equally, because my staff, my colleagues enjoy that diversity of speaking to all manner of organisations rather than just in one vertical.
Well, that's great to hear. So Somerset, no matter who you are, there's something that Cetsat can do for you in some way, shape, or form. I think once again, touching on relationships, I think is so of paramount importance now, and even more so in the past because of this crazy world we're looking at. Back to the COVID thing, because I think it's interesting with you know, people's views on things. Is if I could take you back to the middle of March 2020, and with hindsight and what we now know of everything, is there anything you would have done differently, and if so, why?
In all honesty, I didn't anticipate how things would have unfolded. Certainly, thankfully, I have a great team who did see that lockdown was going to occur. Certainly, I became obviously aware mid-March it was going to happen, and we started moving, testing our own business continuity plans and so on. But yeah, I think I didn't fully appreciate the magnitude of lockdown and what impact that would have to ourselves and our customers and suppliers. You know, it was obviously we have customers in hospitality, for example, where they have pretty much shut down entirely, which is catastrophic. So you know, we've had to adjust our service model for those customers, but the majority too. So yes, I think that's the main thing. It was understanding the gravity sooner. I think we fared pretty well through it, thankfully. But certainly, yeah, it was just getting those things prepared sooner rather than later.
And I think it hit us all by with a shock. I mean, I don't think any of us, nobody, I mean, crikey, the magnitude of it, the speed that it happened. And I don't think in our wildest dreams could we ever imagine what it would be like to have the full lockdown. And we couldn't consider all the implications of it, which I think is, you know, so lessons learned. I think this is going to be taught in school and uni curriculums going forward, I think. And on that, is there anything that you are now considering going forward in your business from a resilience point of view, that you would do differently, or things that you would put into place to prevent something like this happening again?
I think the main thing that sort of is affecting us right now, we are using this opportunity of having an empty office to redecorate and re-kit the office. So that's happening next door as I speak. But I believe that we've been looking at larger premises. I mean, thankfully, we employed throughout the crisis, preparing ourselves for coming out of lockdown. So we were in a fortunate position to be able to do so. But I think the main thing is that we are not looking to move premises. as I say, we were looking at, we have aspirations for growth, and we're looking at new offices to support those people. And I think the outcome of this circumstance is that we will continue to operate with a more flexible working office environment. Certainly, we've got colleagues whose personal circumstances really don't lend themselves, my own included, with my poor internet connectivity. If anyone's listening, and they can help me, but certainly, yeah, I think in the main, everyone has benefited, you know, taking that time out to reevaluate work-life balance and so on.
Absolutely.
So, but yes, we're moving from a sort of a traditional desking infrastructure in our office to a much more open environment to cater for future, well, not only social distancing now, but potential future circumstances. So I hope that the office environment will be a far nicer place for people to work, but with that flexibility to work from home a bit more and save ultimately many hours traveling across our colleagues going to and from the office every day.
I think that's spot on, and it's what we're hearing, and I think it's safe to say is the businesses that are going to thrive out now going forward are those who are going to have a flexible mentality and be much more open to working from home and a mixture of it. I think we social beings will never get rid of interacting socially with people, but I do think it's going to be a change. And as you rightly said, I think not downplaying the absolute catastrophe and the tragic outcomes of COVID-19, but I do think there was a lot of great opportunity, and it gave us a chance, I think, as a global community to take stock of what's happening. We've been talking about work-life balance for a decade, but we've now proven that it actually can work. So wonderful, thank you. Few last questions. When the interview goes out, we have your email address and your contact details and telephone numbers, so anybody can contact you. Is there something specific you'd like to say to your customer base and to your prospective customer base? Now's the opportunity.
No, well, thank you. I mean, I think that the main thing is with remote working due to increase or become normal, should I say, in the future. Obviously, as a technologist, as an evangelist for security, I think that, and it's certainly not a sales pitch, just I would suggest that people review their security. I'm doing some GDPR assessments currently, where obviously an organization's data, where it used to be locked away in the castle, it's now being opened up, and often on personal machines. So I think that organizations need to sort of take a step back and review their business continuity plans, review their security around their data, and most importantly, and this is a drum I bang on quite often, is more so now than ever, our staff must be trained about how to identify potential cyber threats. Certainly, criminals are capitalizing on our being distracted. I have seen already throughout the last few months a number of organizations compromised, and dare I say it, the tempo I do not believe is going to diminish. So I think that business leaders need to understand that this is a risk and that it's not going away, and arguably it is one of the biggest risks. And obviously, as we've discussed previously, Duncan, you know, cash is king, and we've got to keep our eye on the finances of our organizations, which is absolutely paramount. But I believe that cybersecurity is increasingly now the #1 risk, or very close to it, to all of our operations and our longevity.
I think very, very wise words there, Durgan. Thank you. I mean, our whole life has moved into a virtual world, and with that, all the risks. So please, people, take note of that. 2 last questions. One, what is the thing that you are most looking forward to doing once the lockdown is completely over?
Having a break. I must say, I mean, for my own part, it has been relentless. You know, it's felt relentless. I think I've worked harder in the last few months than I have for years. Just the tempo. Obviously, meetings like this or conversations like this with Zoom and other brands are available. That you know, they just all take so much longer. So I felt that everything, the volume of work that I've been able to get through seems smaller. So I'm looking forward to a break, because I was due to have one the last week of March, which was which I was looking forward to, and I'll be looking forward to having a break later in the year when I possibly can.
Wonderful stuff. And the very last question, and probably one of the most difficult, is what have you learned about yourself in these last 3 months?
Oh gosh. We'll come back to work-life balance, I think. I haven't been taking stock of it, given what I've just said. But what have I learned about myself? I don't know, really. I've enjoyed engaging more with my colleagues from a work perspective. You know, whilst this medium of conversation is difficult, I like you, Duncan, enjoy social interaction, and I find it difficult. But actually, I think that I've enjoyed. We have 2 stand-ups each day, AM, PM, and we get everyone on board with that. So I've learned how to communicate better with my colleagues. Obviously, being remote has meant that you have to be much more explicit in your needs, really. So I think that's probably been the sort of work side. But equally, I've enjoyed more being at home with the family. Obviously, the homeschooling with a poor internet connection is very difficult. But actually, you know, I'm a bit of a workaholic, and I've spent more time with the family equally. So I have a vision of what my future may look like when we get out of this, and spending more quality time with the family, really.
Wonderful. Well, Durgan, thank you very, very much for your time this morning. And I think it's given us not only some very wise words about security and cybersecurity, but more about your business and what Cetsat does, and how wonderful it would be for Somerset, and then also a bit about yourself, which is also wonderful, the more personal side. So thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. No, good to speak.